So, Steve and Andy, what is going on this Tuesday?
Yeah, back from a long 3-day weekend. Hey, everybody. Hello, Andy.
Hey, Steve. Hello, Scott. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I shouldn't say back from a long 3-day weekend because we've been gone from this Tuesday webinar for about over 3 weeks now, maybe. 3 weeks,
That's
yeah.
right, 3
So
weeks.
yeah, so got a few things to talk about for sure. I see people filing in the room. As we do so, we'll just continue with our normal intro here, just the disclaimer slide, trade of the week. We are a software as a subscription company. Andy and myself happen to both work for that company, but we also happen to both trade our own accounts. And anything we talk about here today, we're going to talk about some ideas and some symbols and some stocks, but all that really is just mine and Andy's opinion. It's not to be construed the opinion of trade ideas, or definitely not to be construed as official financial advice. You got to go to lunch with your broker and pay him a fee to get that. Just a reminder, we came off a 2-week test drive and another successful test drive. A lot of people coming in and learning what they want to do. And, one of the things we learned is that, some people might not always be ready, but the cool thing about a test drive is you can come in, create your account, set up your desktop, set up some scans the way you want it. And if you're not ready to subscribe, that's okay. That account is still yours. You can come back at any given time in the future and reactivate that same account. You'll still have all your old same settings in there. So if you weren't aware of that, that's something you can do at the test drives. You can give yourself a good running head start for when you are ready to subscribe. But for those that did just join, we know it's a steep learning curve. It's a very rich product. You can do a lot of things with it. And so we want to try and help you out as much as we can. This is a list of our daily access times. The webinar pretty much bell to bell for Barry in his live trading room. And we take over, one of the 5 of us now, Chris, Jamie, Michael, myself, and Andy, Monday through Friday. I've actually moved from Wednesday to Thursday, and Andy does on Friday. It's going to be at noon Eastern. It's on the same live stream that Barry uses. He hands it off to us, and we kind of give him a break and talk about what we're seeing. So you get a different flavor each day at noon Eastern on our live stream. You definitely should come by and check it out. And that is the URL at the bottom. Just add a /live to our website, and it'll redirect you right to the YouTube live stream. It's a great way to get quick information. I mean, a lot of people request help and they don't realize that you can come into this room and just drop a quick question into the chat window. Hey, I'm a day trader. How do I look for a 5-minute moving average, blah, 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 whatever. And the host will demonstrate it for you. It works much better than typing in chat or talking on the phone. So that's why we make ourselves available every single day at that URL at the bottom. And one of our new features that a lot of the test drive people saw, no pun intended, driving test with the stock races, just a new approach at looking at visualized data. Our top lists, they've been around forever, but they can be kind of spreadsheety, if that's a adjective. And the stock races help those symbols jump off the spreadsheet page in real time and show you which ones are moving relative to the other ones in your same scan. So it's a great second layer of scans. We've got some ebooks out there anybody can download for free. The latest one was created by our Director of Software Development, Chief Technical Officer, Dave Mabe, and you can find that at the website below /strategy. One of the nice things about Trade Ideas is it's built by traders for traders. Dave himself is a very unique individual, very smart at coding and developing, but he's also a very smart trader. So that's what you're getting at Trade Ideas. No faking it around here. All right, so welcome back to the trade of the week. It's been a few weeks, as I said. Just a quick reminder. We have a great tool here on the platform, Trade Ideas, but it still is up to you, the trader, to be the best you can, manage risk the best as possible, and work together with the machine, because there's no machine that's out there that's going to just tell you what to do left and right and outperform somebody that has a machine and a human that's working that machine and curating the ideas in real time. So it's a great symbiotic relationship. You can't just rely on technology, and you can't just rely on the human as well. You definitely need the technology to show you where to look. All right, end of the month, today's market, we'll look at the market recap. A lot has certainly happened since we last spoke. Andy's going to look at the AI recap. And trade of the week, we've got 3 of them to go over. And then you know, Andy kind of stirred my attention this morning, and even last Friday, I was interested in some of these ag stocks again, the agriculture stocks, fertilizer stocks, whatever you want to call them. We're going to take a look, and we're going to use the Trade Ideas technology to try and find us a really nice working symbol list for tomorrow, and we'll go through them and we'll talk about which ones we like, which ones we don't, and how to find them. And then we'll share that price alert out as a shareable code at the end. So tomorrow, anybody that wants to accept that code will all be working with the same price alerts tomorrow, at least in terms of the agriculture space. And then we'll round off like we usually do. We'll take a quick look at the sectors, see what's going on out there, and then chart requests at the end. So we'll say hello to Andy. Welcome back, Andy. Good.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. So we're all set. Yeah.
I'm
No,
sorry,
no.
I was on mute.
That's all right. Talking, just getting into the first segment here, and which is the market recap. So, I mean, gosh, it's been a little while since we last spoke, and I guarantee when we last spoke, I was probably still pretty bearish because the moving averages were all crossing down. We're below the 50, that big fight that we had in the SPY and the Qs that lost last month and dropped below. So a lot has happened since then. Let's just zoom in. We had a nice bounce down here at, let's just take a look at that level. Was there a reason for us to bounce at that level? Yeah, there was.
I think we're still,
Yeah, there really was.
Anchored VWAP.
Well, there's that level. Okay, you see that was a resistance support. So there was a pivot level from back there. Okay, and then let's do the anchored VWAP. I'll do it on my other chart. Actually, I'm going to do it on a weekly chart. It'll make much more sense. Okay, so let's do some anchored VWAP here on a SPY weekly chart from the COVID low, correct?
Yep.
Anchor, COVID low, that week right there. And how about that? Look, we got two corresponding interesting levels of technicals here. We have the eyeball that we drew with the resistance, the pivot, excuse me. And we also did test that anchored VWAP, and on a weekly basis, we bounced off both of those levels respectively. But where are we now? I mean, are we just back in the channel here? Is that what we're going to expect? Well, that's what we'll probably talk about here as we zoom back into the daily. I'll just go back to this one. So we've given a lot back since the COVID low. It made sense on a VWAP and a pivot level that we had a little bounce there at that orange level. And we're on the, there we go. Now we can see what's going on. So we had actually a double test, excuse me. That was the first test. We went back and double tested it right here on this day. So we have essentially done a double test of a very critical level, and we bounced back up. This was the first day of interest right there. Actually, no, I'm going to say this was the first day of interest right there because we kind of really technically closed back above and recaptured that declining 10 SMA with three big wick candles there. So all shorts are off the book over here for both Andy and myself. We've been trying to participate in this oversold bounce in the general market. Whether or not you get your individual stocks to lift along with the SPY and the Q is a whole another story. But let's look at where we are now. All right. We're in no man's land in terms of our moving averages. We have successfully defeated the declining 10 and the declining 20 to close above and recapture them now for 3 days. Solid. I'm going to go ahead and draw this line over here. That was a prior low, bounced, support, bounced, support, and then we broke that. So if we're going to play with pivot lines, it makes sense as to why we, it may make sense as to why we found some sellers here at these levels today. We look intraday on Friday, and today we really can't get much past Friday's high before we just kind of chop around. So there's some work to be done at this pivot line, and I'm calling it no man's land because I think if it does get through that, this is the big monster up here. All right, let's go to the Qs because it'll probably make a little bit more sense when we look at relatively speaking the Qs with the big blue monster, the 50-day SMA. All right. Look at how much trouble it had with the 50. This was that chop and grind where we called back here, watch out below. I did a TikTok video that said, watch out below, and that happened. But now we've got same type of bounce down here. I'm not going to go back and look at those levels. They're probably pretty similar. Same with the VWAP. But the big thing coming into play is, in my opinion, is going to be this 50-day. So we could chop around here for a couple more days and let these faster moving averages kind of settle in, kind of hold the dove in the hand. the price action does wind up meeting the declining 50-day moving average in the next few days, I think you really got to take some profits on things that are working for you, take some money off the table, and be ready, because that is what stalled this market last time back here with that that nasty chop. What
And
else
that
is
could
interesting out there?
marry. Go back to the Q, Steve, real quick, and that could marry up if you draw the resistance line there as well. That could come in play
With the 50?
possibly by the time it hits a 50. I don't know. Looks
Chop,
like it
chop,
make it
chop.
there before,
The
but
50
yeah.
comes down, but yeah, that's going to be a level of interest, is what
That
Andy's
could
talking
be.
about. So what level is that, by the way? That's looking like the we'll call it the 318, 370. We'll call it 318 level in the Nasdaq. And just for fun, now I've got my curiosity. Let's just look and see where the weekly is on that anchored VWAP, just for fun on the Nasdaq. So we'll grab our anchor, plug it in at the low, and we broke the anchored VWAP in the Nasdaq long ago. So we're trading below the anchored VWAP in Nasdaq, but not in the S&P. So that's kind of interesting. Apple, what is the bellwethers? What do they look like over here? Let's get off that 50. So the bellwether Apple is kind of same thing, all right? I'm just going to draw it right there. That support right there. It's kind of acting as resistance right here, getting chopped up in the 20. So a lot of things look the same out there. A lot of things have moved off of a nice relief bottom bounce, but essentially we're just kind of still back in that same old channel. So be very careful about putting on a lot of new longs, I think, here. Let's let this market kind of digest and see what it wants to do. What are the IWMs doing? You know, the small caps, look at that, same kind of a thing. We actually drew that level. That level was already in there from before. And we hit it Friday perfectly, and we can't even get back to it today. So pivot levels, I think, are the story of the day here. When we look at the indexes and we look left a little bit, and we're running into some prior support levels that are acting as possible current resistance. And again, if we can get through those, then respectively, the 50-day moving average is going to come into play on a lot of these charts. Yep. Anything else you want to add?
We're definitely not out of the woods. No, not at all, Steve. You hit it pretty good there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing this as the bottom. I'm not seeing this as the
I'm
dip.
not either. It could be, but yeah, I just feels like we have it. I'm not saying a lot more pain, but maybe a little bit of testing to go on. Maybe we test those lows again.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting squirrely over here with my locking up on me.
Here,
So
I'll take it.
Go ahead and take it and talk about some AI stuff that we might have missed the last couple of weeks.
Sure. All right, guys. So what I want to talk to you today about is the AI. And what I did is I'm not going over just the AI for today. I want to look at the last couple of weeks. And, before I get into it, you guys start thinking, well, great. We've had a nice bounce in the market. Obviously, the AI probably did pretty well, too, if you held on to a lot of those trades. And that's true. But that's not my kind of what I wanted to show you today. It's more of when you see a lot of these calls in the AI, I don't want you to think necessarily, even though it's designed to get out at the end of the day of every trade. So technically, I guess, it's back tested on day trading and all that. You still get some very good ideas for stocks that you can hold, and I do this all the time. I find good swing trades in there. And I just wanted to show you today, just looking at the, pull up the pen, never have that ready in Steve's webinar. Yeah, just kind of want to show you the, like the aggressive profit. And here is the aggressive profit percentage. And you're going to see a huge difference between what you're going to find in the moderate and the conservative. And once again, I'm not trying to say, oh, guys, you should have bought all these things and just held on to them for 2 weeks. No, of course not. But I do want to give you some ideas of stocks that what I kind of look for and what you can look for when you see maybe things coming through the AI. Because remember, these strategies, the traders here at Trade Ideas, we built the basic strategies. And we did not build them using intraday parameters. Okay, these are built on basically daily setups. Okay, so naturally, if you get a move off a daily setup, it's going to be a good chance it's going to be good for 2 or 3 day moves and not just the one day we're in, and a lot of it's built on volume. And for example, I want to point out, let's see, Nordstrom's, if I could. This was the day after earnings, and this was a call from pushing the spring. And you had it right after earnings, and this was a big volume. You can see the volume bar day. That's the highest one in about 3 months. And look what's happening. Okay, not only did you have an incredible day trade if you wanted one, but it moved up another, $3 or $4 from that point on a just a 3 to 5 day swing hold. So those are things you can look for. Something after earnings that's doing a huge volume. Upstart is kind of another one, 25% in aggressive mode, and it was actually that after about 3 days. Once again, this is after earnings, a stock that had been beaten up on the daily, all the way down from 400 down to 40 basically. And what you have here is you had a lot of people getting out of their shorts, covering their still has showing at 31. I'm sure that's come down now, but you had a lot of short covering. Not only that, you had a lot of buying interest coming in. So anytime after earnings, when you see this kind of positive price action to the bullish side on a stock that's been beaten up, yeah, you may want to think about holding those for a few days and get that extra, 10, 15% out of it. And then there's calls that are just really what I think that are good on a daily setup. And let me see if I can find them. This BBT. Okay. Now this is one that didn't work. Okay. It did not work in the AI on the intraday. But if I'm looking at this and I'm seeing this setup right here, well, first of all, the first thing that's come to my mind is like, wow, this is showing relative strength, huge relative strength. Remember now, back when this signal, the market was pretty close to its yearly lows. And this one, it was setting up a beautiful cup and handle potential there. You got the call, okay, it's intraday, got stopped out on a tight stop, didn't make any money. I just don't like shrug that off and say, oh, well, I'll look for a next trade. I mean, this one, if you just set a price alert back at the 5-day high or something like that around 1720, you would have had a beautiful trade, even though the AI didn't make any money, in the intraday. So look for those nice relative strengths, especially after earnings setups. Those can be really, really good plays. And there was another one in here. I believe it was CAL was another one, another call that I think this one did work. Yeah, this one hit the target intraday, but once again, hit the target at 26.50. But look what happened. You had another $4 or $3 or $4 out of that trade on a swing trade. So keep in mind, I want you to keep in mind, a lot of these are set up, guys, and our aggressive profit is showing. If you look at these percentages, compared to the ones, the shorts that you think would have got clobbered a lot more, considering we had a nice move over the last couple of weeks, but nothing like we saw on the upside. And so just want to throw that out there. We're finding some really beautiful, swing trades in the AI, and I want you to do the same. And really, it's all about, look what to look for. Look for those volume moves after earnings. Look for those nice setups, which are exhibiting a relative strength, like the CAL and the BBT were great examples of that as well. So anyway, that's about it, Steve. I could go over a few more, but I think that covers the gist of it.
Sounds good.
I'll shoot it back to you.
All right, welcome back to my screen. And yes, anybody that joined late, don't forget 12 Eastern, we've got that live support session each and every day. I dropped the link there in the public reply. So on Friday of last week, I took a position that I had been in before. Let's just back up. I participated in this stock back here when it was making noise and made some good money and got out, and it broke. I said, well, I'll keep my eye on this thing. If it ever sets up again, I might be interested. There's earnings right there. Big, nice bounce off of earnings. And then, boy, look at that setup. I mean, you guys, I want you to imprint on this setup right here. And it's scrolled to the perfect day right there. That is a beauty. I bought that on last week. I lost my scroll. But a beautiful setup right into the moving averages after bouncing off of lows sideways. catches the moving average, and now we're back above the 50-day moving average, and we've got the 200-day move. So I picked up some of this as a swing trade, just noticing the chart, been in it before. It's on my liked list over here. I've got a heart on it, so I never really lose track of it. And then this morning, Andy came to me and he goes, "Hey, I just bought some of this APPH." I looked at that and I said, "Wow." I looked up here and it said, "Oh, miscellaneous crop, farming, agriculture." Looks very similar to the one I sold myself on Arcadia on Friday. So I proceeded to log into both accounts and went ahead and bought some. This is a, we call this an anticipation trade. All right, nothing's happening here, but what's boiling up under the surface is something I've seen many times before. All right, look at how many times the 10 SMA got a hold of that price and just threw it back to lows. But once it reclaimed that 10 SMA, whole different story now. It's almost like the pivot level of a price. Okay, we can do the same thing with a moving average. So it's pivoted from being under pressure to back to being supported by it. And I even call this setup a name. I call it the bird in the hand. You know, it's coming off the lows. It's now put in 3 or 4 days above the 10 and above the 20, sliding sideways. This thing is basically just looking for a reason, a PR, a news event, a big buyer to break out of this, in my opinion. Is it going to do it? I can't guarantee it will, but I put my money into it. I think it's going to. So we're not waiting for a trigger on this trade. However, that's not the wrong answer either. We're going to set up some triggers on some of these. We're going to try and identify some more of these because I think they might be in for a good week the way they're shaping up. And why do I say that? Well, let's go to the big universe. CF, not so much, but it's had a good day. Well, it's kind of in a range there. I'm going to look at a couple other ones. Mosaic has been battling off lows. And then what was the other one I really liked? Oh, DNA. I made some money in last week. It was my perfect trade. There was the bird in the hand right there, guys. I got my 1, 2, 3 day out, hit my 50-day target, and I said, thank you very much. I wish all trades were that easy, but they're not. ADM, that's the one I'm thinking of. This is another big guy that might help lift. Come on. Come on now. There we go. That might help lift the market. This one's pretty strong. Look at this volume bar. Broke above its 50 and closed above its 50. So we're hoping that the big guys can help bring another big move that we had back here. Okay, so this was a viable move that we had. That move corrected and reset, but we're thinking that maybe that sector is due for another move again here. So how can we use the Trade Ideas technology to find some of these names? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start. Oh, actually, no, we're not going to. I missed a segment. We'll come back to that. Okay, just hold on to that because I forgot to go over the namesake of the the trade of the week. We've got a few to go.
Oh, that's
here.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and they've been a very similar vein. They've been commodity type plays that have been above their moving averages and trending higher. The first one was a bugger because this was our trigger there. I thought maybe we get a day or two of consolidation, then a move, but it didn't. It gapped right up and out of it, and then it just chopped right back down into there. I'm no longer in this one. I used my own 6 cents, and I said I don't like the way it broke that 10 SMA, even though it was a very small loss. I mean, that's probably maybe 30 cents at the most there. The official trade of the week calls for not letting a wheat close below the 50. Now, just because I bailed early doesn't mean that somebody that's still in there can't lean on this 50-day moving average and this thing could bounce tomorrow. It very well could. But technically, it's still above the 50. I got out a little bit earlier because I didn't really like the way I had to chase that gap up. So no big harm, no foul, at least on that one. Hopefully it's going to bounce off that 50 tomorrow. Then the following week, I still am in DINO. Back again to the strong charts. What is working? What is trending up? What's not looking like the rest of the market? And DINO gave us, I believe, a couple of really nice days. There it was right there. Pretty much it might have been that day or the day prior. Nice move up, red candle, 2 or 3 day pullback into the 10 SMA, 2 days of solid support there. And that's what we're leaning on. We were leaning on a trigger above that candle right there, I believe. And we got it the second day, third day of testing the 10 SMA, a fourth day of testing the 10 SMA, and then we had a nice move on Friday. no reason for me to get out of this thing, nor anybody else. I would say I'm going to continue to keep an eye on this 10 SMA. If we do get some more consolidation and another big green candle, I'll probably start taking some profits on that big green candle if we can get some more movement out of this. But for now, there's no harm, no foul. DINO is above the rising 10 SMA, and that tells us that momentum is still in play. Notice the petroleum refinery. Okay, that was last week in DINO. That's what's been holding up, the petroleum, energy, and refineries. Today they gave some back, but that's what was going into the week. So good segue for what we're going to do again next. Similar to DINO, I went through all these and I saw DK. I said, oh, well, that's interesting. DK is doing kind of the same thing. It pulled back, gave us a nice movement here. It's just been riding that 10 SMA. So a break above the 30 level actually was the official call. So it did trigger today, but it's no harm, no foul. It's just riding this 10 SMA. Again, I think a lot of the oil and energy names will take a look. Big red candle there in oil. We'll see that when we go through. But that doesn't mean it can't continue to regain steam. And you know, DINO and DK are still intact. DK just triggered today, so let's just see what happens. The official risk management on this one is going to be to respect the 20-day SMA. You can see it held it there, and held it there. So if it can't hold it in the future, we do not want to be in DK. All right. Very good. Caught up with the actual trades of the week. So we can go back now to my discussion on Ricotta, Arcadia, that beautiful little bird in the hand setup. I bought an anticipation buy on Thursday and Friday and today, doing okay. So then Andy turned around, just rehashing here, and showed me APPH. Didn't even hesitate once I saw it was in the same miscellaneous crop, farming, ag stocks. So I said, well, geez, where'd you find that, Andy? And he said, well, I had it on my list of ag stocks. I said, well, I don't have a list of ag stocks. I want a list of ag stocks. So let's make a list of ag stocks. And we're going to start, basically, we'll go back to ADM, the big guy, and let's use the similar tab. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through these names quickly. And if there's something that I like, we'll go through some other ones as well. But the similar tab might alert us to something good. And it might even double up and show us the two that we're in right now, APPH and Arcadia. Let's see if we can get going here. Come on. I'm frozen. Here we go. Kellogg, not bad. We all know what Kellogg is. Matter of fact, that's not bad at all. I'm gonna mark up right there, right above that 70 level. I find that interesting. So we'll just, okay, it already triggered that. Let's just put it right up there. Oh, why are you doing that to me, Kellogg? Okay, we'll put it right there. OTLY also, yeah, interesting. Looks like it came out, look at that bird in the hand. It kind of came out of that bird in the hand, didn't it? But I'm not going to be one to chase things up here at the 50. We're trying to find them before they do that. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. General Mills, now getting slammed at the 50, not a fan. Not familiar with that one. There's Campbell Soup coming up. We're kind of getting off the beaten path here. We're kind of getting into the more Kellogg stuff. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do Arcadia again. We're going to start here and we're going to see what is similar to Arcadia. Okay, well, there's Mosaic. I mentioned that one earlier. Probably want to keep an eye on that one if it can get above its 50-day, but this is one of the big guys that might be trying to make a move. Mosaic, fertilizer, chemical, phosphorus, all that stuff. CTVA, a familiar name.
Monster.
Had a nice move. What's that?
It's been a monster move, yeah.
It's been a monster, but it's put up a couple of antennas there. Yeah. It's ready for some consolidation. We're not going to mark that up. But again, we're just trying to utilize the trade ideas similar to tab, try and find some interesting ones. And here comes one that I know about, LXU. LXU is familiar because it was actually on the trader's eye this morning. So another confirmation. Nice looking chart, but it's probably going to need to get above that 50-day moving average if it needs to do anything. I don't know, should we mark that one up? Is there a reason to mark that one up?
Well, if it takes out, you know, I don't care for that topping tail, but you know what, things are so wacky in this market, it doesn't bother me. Yeah, but if it takes out that high, more than likely it's going to the 50.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got in there. That was LXU. SMG, no, that's a downtrend, dirty, ugly downtrend. We want nothing to do with Scott's Miracle-Gro, even though it sounds like fertilizer. The chart is not confirming the story, right? There's a story out there, fertilizer, but this chart is not confirming that story. Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, that's been a
Very
strong one. Yeah.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit. We got kind of a double cup and handle here. We're just going to go ahead and give it an early head start. That back at that 120 level could get interesting. This is a small cap. Let's take a look at the details here real quick. Did 500,000 shares today. Not a big short float. You know, nothing too scary on there, so I'm not going to worry about that. Here's Ricotta, Arcadia. So we got that one. Well, at least I have that one, but I'll go ahead and mark that one up from this double high here if we can get above that. The 200-day is coming into play, but at least Arcadia has gotten rid of the 50-day moving average. AVD, well, this is interesting. Some nice consolidation. She's probably gonna have to mark this one up too. I'll mark that one.
What is that? American Vanguard Corporation. Okay, I wasn't familiar with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No.
interesting. Let me just open this up so I can see what I'm doing. All right, Y10. If you've seen this one in the news, but or name before, but not doing anything. The chart not confirming the story over there. That's also not a great looking chart. UAN. Okay, so we're getting down to the bottom ones here. So I'm gonna drop in APPH and see if there's anything else on these similar to APPH that we didn't find. Also, we've got to definitely mark this one up. Put that into our mix of price alerts that we're going to hand out here in a minute. All right, I'll adjust that just a skosh. There we go. There's our stock. Okay, Dole. All right, we're getting into the food. No, nobody's buying pineapples, it looks like. Well, this is interesting. What's the volume on this? 650,000. Bellring brand soybean farming. Look at it's getting pinched here. This is interesting. It's getting pinched between its 10 and its 200. And I find that kind of interesting considering what's going on out there. So if it breaks above the 200, I want to know about it. All right, what was that? Okay, VFF. Yeah, ugly chart, nothing going on there. AVO, nothing really special sloppy. There. Yeah, sloppy. Let's try some other key ones. I'm going to start with Mosaic and see if there's anything in there that we haven't seen yet. CF, ICL. There's LXU again. We mark that one up. You think of any other names I might want to try and key off of here?
Well, CF can get above like that 10-day high there.
Let's do CF.
Yeah, a lot of wicks up there, but if it ever gets through, it's probably going to round.
And let's use that as our key as well. What's similar to KF? Mosaic. Okay, so we're in CF. So we're starting to get a lot of runoff overlap now. We're seeing a lot of the same names that we've missed or haven't missed. Yep. Okay, so I think that kind of solidifies it. We've also got, and we'll get to this in a second, this is the agriculture, one of the agriculture ETFs, MOO. Got a little bit ahead of itself today, but not bad. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not a short. Kellogg is edit price alert. It's not a short.
That's the one he was having a problem with. Yeah,
after hours. Okay, so what I'm going to do, guys, any girls, anybody that wants it, I'm going to copy and share these 8 selected price alerts that we just kind of went through, trying to focus in on the agriculture sector. Yeah, I was going to look at that, Dave. Good call on the DBA and the DBC. I'm going to drop price alerts into the chat window, not the questions window, but the chat window. Price alerts, cloud links are in there. So yeah, DBC commodities. They gave some back, and I think it was mostly because of energy today, Dave. A lot of those energy names we looked at earlier, including the 2 trade of the weeks, got a little bit red today. So they're probably going to reset at DBA, huh? Interesting. I haven't seen that one. Well, that's kind of a bad day for the DBA fund. Interesting. Which you also have the MOO, Agriculture Open-End Fund, agribusiness, they call it. Anyway, okay. How do you have a bird in the hand scan? I don't have a bird in the hand scan. I thought I did, but you know what? Let's take a look at it. It's not giving me what I thought. And I looked at it, I believe over the weekend. Let's just see if it has anything better today. It's a contrarian scan looking for new lows that are tapping on the 10 SMA. Let's see if anything came through today of interest on this thing. But I'm yet to really build a really good one. I just kind of know them when I see them. That's a new issue. Okay, let's just kind of zoom in here. You know, that one kind of trying, but it looks like an overnight gap. That's a, yeah. Oops, keep clicking on the same one. SRE, yeah. I haven't really found a scan that does it for me the way I would like to see it. But what I've done on this one is a couple of key factors in this configuration are the following. All right, position in 20-day range. It's not up, it's not down, but it's just kind of at least above the 1/3 low of a 20-day range. Price in relation to the 10 SMA, and 5-day range. Okay, no more than 11%. So a 5-day range can't be more than 11%. I could probably even bring that down to like 8%. But as long as it's above and not too far below its 10 SMA, it's going to show me those things. But there's a lot of junk that comes through there as well. So I don't really have a scan that I'm comfortable handing out. I'm more comfortable showing you what I like to see on the chart, and so you can kind of imprint on it and see it. That's a beauty right there. And RKDA was the one I entered on Thursday of last week, looking like that right there, pinched between the 52. So sliding sideways above the moving averages after a decline. It's kind of a shift in trend. It's kind of what I look for. And again, I don't really have anything unless Andy does, but wish I could figure out how to build something like that. Maybe Michael can help me in the Market Explorer. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do for the remaining 5, 6, 7 minutes. I'm going to go through the sectors real quick and see if there's anything notable to watch tomorrow sector-wise. And while I'm doing that, if anybody wants me to look at, or Andy, at a symbol, a specific stock chart, we'll close out the session looking at a few specific stock charts you guys want to see. All right, so we're going to start with K-Web. Do you know what happened today in K-Web, Andy? Why did the China stocks just gap up like that?
I do not know. The only thing I assume is overnight markets did well. Maybe they lowered rates. I have no idea.
Well, for whatever reason, China stocks might be on the radar tomorrow because you can see
Mhm.
this 50-day moving average just kill it the last 10 times it touched it. Big gap and close above it today. So something happened over there in the China stocks. Interesting.
Yep. I actually bought a couple for the first time in a very, very long time.
So this chart, this scan here is sorted on the sectors, close, change from the close. So MU that we just talked about is a leading sector, at least, the way it closed up today, it held its own. It has had a good run for a couple of days, but a little bit of a topping tail. So I don't know how much follow through we're going to see immediately, but I hope for some because we're long a couple. The financials, again, I think everything's going to look very similar. We're all just kind of paused under the 50-day. The banks, look at how the banks here are just finding sellers definitely at the 50-day moving average on the banks. Yeah, we're using trade ideas for the charting. I've got 3 different other accounts I trade in, Sleeper. So banks, semis, what are the semis doing today? Okay, the semis are fighting. They hit their 50-day moving average on Friday, and I would keep an eye on these semis to see if they can bleed up a little bit higher above today's close because they're hanging out here. They're not repelled and repulsed and closing back on lows after touching that 50-day. So that's kind of interesting. There's our spiders. It's very similar to technology. Gold and silver rolled over again today. There's nothing going on over there. We looked at the DBC, the oil and energy really kind of pulled back on that one. Airlines are stuck here under their 50. See what happens with them. What are the home builders doing? They're stuck under the 50. This is why I use this moving average, guys. There. Now we're battling again here. The 50 is a very key, simple moving average for basic health. What is the general health of a stock or index? Well, 50-day moving average might tell us. We looked at the IWM. And some bonds, price sold off a little bit today. Healthcare slammed right into their 50-day moving average. energy. So energy is above their 50, and this is what we've been talking about. That's why the last 3 trade of the weeks have kind of been energy focused. So give back, a lot of give back today. I don't see any upward follow through tomorrow in energy. I probably see a couple of days, probably 1 or 2 days of give back and consolidation in energy. So be aware of that. IYR, REITs, kind of in no man's land. Solars have recaptured their 50. That's interesting. Okay, we see a lot of sectors that are under their 50, but so far the solars have recaptured it. And what was the other one? Semis, we're trying to capture it too. So solars and semis don't look too bad. At least they're hanging in there. We did DBA, treasuries, steel hit the 50-day moving average and retreated. Biotech's still handily under their 50-day, and gold miners, retail, kind of an oversold bounce, just holding on to their 20. Silver's going to roll over again, and there's our OIH's big red candle. So I think solar and semiconductors might be interesting tomorrow. The financials and the banks are caught up at the 50-day, but probably a breather for the energy and oil stocks. All right. Did anybody have any charts they want us to look at? I see Andy dropped in the symbol list. That's good. But unless you guys don't have any charts you want to look at, I'm just about out of ideas for contents today. You guys are usually pretty active on this one. We'll give it another minute. Looks like all the questions were answered. All right, Veru. Hey, Ryan. Veru. Let's take a look at Veru. Big news day here. Nice gap off of earnings.
Not bad.
Consolidating off of earnings. It gave way to its 10-day, but that's not a deal killer. The backstop of the 20-day simple moving average looks like it wants to try and play a support level for you. So ideally, you want to get this thing back above that 10, but good reaction to earnings. You just want to keep this thing above that 20-day moving average, I would say. Day, you want to look at Costco. Big oversold bounce with a lot of things. It looked like the retail sector almost to the T. Yep, just a nice big bounce and then just kind of fading there at the 20 SMA. My system's so taxed today. It's been a long day. Trying to type Costco again. Anything you want to add on Costco? It looks like it's just going to have to battle that 20. It kind of filled that gap almost. It's in congestion land here for the moment.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You broke down through a pivot level right there, and you're coming up to the 20 and that pivot level. So
yeah, that Walmart, Target, Costco news did not help last couple weeks. That's for sure. All right, well, that's all we've got for the request. Cool. Scott, come on in and make any last minute announcements if you want and walk us out. I think you're still on mute there. There you go.
Yeah, let me find that mute button. There we go. Yeah, a couple items on the way out. Let's see what slide we're on here. So we're on there, the E-Trade slide. So yeah, if you have E-Trade and you'd like to experience really seamless $0 commission trading, become a Trade Ideas subscriber and connect your Brokerage Plus instance to Trade Ideas. Just use the information at trade-ideas.com/eTrade to learn more. We also connect directly with Interactive Brokerage. They're not commission free as far as trading through Trade Ideas, but they do have an excellent reputation and a great short book. Just go to trade-ideas.com/IBKR to learn about becoming an Interactive Brokerage client. And as mentioned, we have a great sale still going on through June 6th. You have a few days left to take advantage of that. Use the code TESTDRIVE25 for our Memorial Day test drive sale. Save 25% off your first month or year of your test drive of your new subscription or upgrade during the test drive sale. You can follow us at youtube.com/trade ideas, You can find Steve at TISteveG. You can also find us at Trade Ideas and some other handles. We're on Facebook. Trade Ideas Pro is the handle there. And you can find Steve on TikTok if you're a TikToker. He's Today Trader. And also, if you have any questions, email us info@trade-ideas.com. And if you have any questions, email us at info@trade-ideas.com. Goes to our help desk, gets you the help you need as quickly as possible. So you will receive an invite to watch the replay of this if you missed anything. It'll be coming to your email address tomorrow. It's going to be on our YouTube channel, so the recording will be available then. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Andy. Have a nice rest of your day.
All right. See you later.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you on Thursday.